Welcome, welcome, beloved, to Spiritual Adults. Thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys. I am so blessed, so privileged that you people will listen to my just the little knowledge God gave to me, just listening to my story. May God bless you people abundantly. Blessings. Okay, I really do appreciate you guys. Today, I want to tell of the story or talk about the woman with the issue of blood. The woman with the issue of blood. The story is found in 3 of the Gospels. There's Luke chapter 8, there's Mark, and there's Matthew chapter 9. I like Matthew's rendition of it. So I'm going to be using the book of Matthew chapter 9. And it's interesting as I'm looking at it. Matthew chapter 9 is where Jesus healed the madman of Gadara, the man that had legions of spirits that Jesus cast into the pigs. So after that great victory, he came back. So when he got back, the crowd was there waiting for him back at home, because he had to cross the Jordan to go do that great miracle. So now he came back and everybody was just, I guess, happy to see him, waiting for their miracles. So this story starts from, I'm just going to take it from 41. So it reads, "And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue. And he fell down at Jesus' feet and besought him that he would come into his house." So Jairus is one of the rulers. He has an issue. He needed Jesus too. Healing is not just for the poor. It's not just for the rich. It's for everybody. So he needed Jesus because his only daughter was seriously sick, and according to what we're reading, she lay dying. But as he went, the people thronged him, crowds, massive crowds surrounding Jesus Christ. So in the midst of Jairus coming to, ask Jesus to come, and with throng of people all around him, here comes our subject, the woman with the issue of blood. He said in verse 43 of Matthew chapter 9, it says, "And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which has spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him and touched the border of his garment. And immediately her issue of blood stanched. Stop. This is KJV. Stanched. Stopped. And Jesus said, 'Who touched me?' When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, 'Master, the multitude throng thee and press thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me?'" It's amazing. We see these things with human eyes. The master knows something happened, which humans around did not see. The naked eye did not see what took place. But the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God in Jesus, knew something has happened, made him to understand that something happened. And I don't blame Peter at all. It's like when you go to a football game and after the game, when everybody are coming out, that's the scene I see in my mind as I read this. Everybody's coming out, the throng, and you're saying somebody touched you. Excuse me, you're being touched, all right. Not even by one person. The crowd, as it's surging, as you're moving through the crowd, you're being touched. Left, right, front and back. So what are you saying? Jesus, whenever he says stuff, you'll be holding your head. It's like, what's he saying? You're in the middle of this crowd. Say, who touched me? He's an oxymoron. His questions are always, who touched me? Peter said, excuse me, let me do my thing again. Peter has to give his own speech. The multitude thronged thee and pressed thee, sayest thou who touched me? And Jesus said, the master says, somebody had touched me. Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. For I perceive that virtue is gone out of me. A power left him. If you know. And the woman saw that she was not hid. She came trembling and falling down before him. She declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said to her, daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. So it's a short story, but it's packed and loaded for us. If you read this story topically, you say, oh, the woman, you use the Western mind to read this Bible, this passage, but we cannot. Culture affects this text. It's not like, oh, we went to one game and we're coming back, homecoming, whatever, where you have, group of people, men and women, pushing against each other. And in this, freedom we have now, since Christ came, women are not given that privilege to hang out with men in those days like that. You always take the back seat. Even as we speak to these days, there are cultures, even in, my beloved African culture. When you are in certain setting, you're not even allowed to. You defer to the back. You defer to the men, and you go to the back. That's why that's the rule. It's unwritten, but it's there, and it's affecting this text, because what God did in our life is epic because of our faith. That's what I'm getting to. This woman, she's bleeding. She's been bleeding for 12 years, hemorrhaging for 12 years. That makes her unclean. God gave the law, even when a woman gives birth and you're still bleeding, you are not allowed to come to the synagogue. God said you're unclean. You have to wait and then purify yourself before you can join it. For her coming out to be among the people is a grievous offense. I remember one time there was somebody that had some infectious disease, but was with the people, came out into the crowd, and they said what he did was almost like a crime, because he knew he was infected and he was just mingling with people like nothing, that he could spread that to people. This is even in our modern day America. I read it that time. So take it back to that time when God says, when you are bleeding, you don't come to where people are. Anybody you touch, you defile that person. That person has to go purify themselves. Nobody wants to do that. It's like, I was minding my business. You came into the crowd. Now everybody's defiled. We all have to go get purified and go show ourselves to the priest. Go do what needs to be and pay. That is what the woman did. But she said, and not to talk of coming to touch Jesus, who is a prophet. She's not supposed to do that. But she was desperate. She said she spent all she had with physicians to no avail. So she had this plan in her heart. She said, I'm not going to come up. But she said, if I can touch the hem of his garment. So can you imagine everybody going? She bends down. And I can see how she practices in her mind. Jesus is moving. Jesus is walking. It's not like Jesus is standing. The crowd, they are pushing. And where those crowds, that many people were, she goes on all fours. Because when you are in the crowd, you can't just, it's not something you could do so quickly. She goes on all fours and touch the hem of the garment. That's what is involved in this miracle. So everybody is moving, Jesus is moving. It wasn't like the place was clear for her to come in the crowd and bend down to touch Jesus's garments, the hem of the garment. What a faith. That's what she said in her heart. If I but touch the hem of the garment of Jesus, I will be made whole. And God honored that faith. And Jesus said something happened. Something just happened to me. Like I said, the crowd was impossible. And that's what Peter was saying. He said, what are you saying? Look at this crowd. They throng you to a throng. You're surrounded by people. We saw it with Jairus, who is trying to talk to him. This woman came in, and just before she could finish, they said the Jairus' people came and said, "Don't bother the man of God. Don't bother Jesus. Your daughter is dead." Jesus said, "Don't worry, we're going. Don't worry, don't. That's nothing. That's minutia to me." But this woman broke the protocol, she's not supposed to be where people are. There are men all over, she's not supposed to. Then coming to touch Jesus. That shows the power of Jesus too. He would have defied any other human being, but he could not defy Jesus. That's why Jesus felt that power. That power that left him. And when the woman, what Jesus was alluding to was actually true. The woman said, yes. And he said, and when the woman saw that she was not healed, she came trembling and falling down before him. And she declared unto him before all the people, can you imagine? Telling her business out before everybody there. What cause she had touched him, why she has touched him, and she was healed immediately. And Jesus, look at the heart of Jesus. That's why I love Jesus. He said to her, daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. Go in peace. When he said go in peace, usually there ought to be repercussion, but he said, go in peace. There will be no trouble. Go. That's our Jesus. So whatever is your issue today, dare to touch Jesus with your faith. Touch Jesus with your faith. regardless of what it is, that mountain will come down. That mountain will come down. In Jesus' mighty name, we are praying, making this prayer. God be with you. God bless you. Thank you for listening.